So today we're going to be modernizing this brown cabinet from my kids' room and just making it pretty. I started by wiping down the cabinet and just getting rid of any dust and debris. Next, I continued to remove the hardware from the drawers and set the drawers aside. So I used 150 grit sandpaper to sand the cabinet down. So I started by sanding the cabinet, and I just did enough to scruff up the surface a little bit so that the paint would easily stick later on. I'm not doing super deep sanding over here. You want to make sure to sand every area that you plan on painting, because if you don't, the paint isn't going to stick and it's just going to slide right off. So I did the sides, the front, the edges, everything. So before painting, you want to make sure to wipe down the cabinet again. So the paint I got is interior satin and the color is Cappuccino white. So here I'm just doing the first coat of paint on the cabinet. I used a roller and then I used a foam brush for all the edges and hard to reach areas. So I use spackle to patch up the holes on the drawer, and you have to allow it 24 hours to dry before you can sand it. So after the spackle dried, I started to sand the drawers, and between each coat of paint you want to make sure to sand, lightly sand, not get rid of too much of the paint, but this sanding is going to get rid of any paint residue that was left behind or any scruffs or areas that you might have overpainted and you had like droplets and whatnot. I'm just painting my second coat here on the drawers and then the dresser as well. Now the next morning the second coat has dried. I'm just using my sander to go over any paint clumps that have formed, and then I'm gonna do my third coat of paint. I forgot to show it here, but make sure you wipe down the cabinet again before you do your third coat of paint. For the drawers, I just used a light sanding sheet before I painted the third coat. So after the third coat of paint has dried on the drawers, I did this clear wood finish lacquer. It's gloss style, and I used a foam brush to apply it. I did 2 coats of it, and I waited about 4 hours in between each coat. So the final step was just drilling in new holes for your hardware and then just screwing in the hardware. And that's it, you're done. I love how this dresser turned out, and I think it looks pretty professional. I don't see any paintbrush streaks or anything like that, but let me know what you guys think, and I will see you next time, God willing.